Have you ever found yourself trying to justify your goodness to someone who only seems interested in misunderstanding you? It's as if you're standing in a court where the judge, jury, and executioner are all set against you from the start. Let me tell you something, there are moments in life when your words are pearls cast before swine, wasted on ears that have no intention of hearing. And here's the hard truth, not every soul that stands before you is rooting for your success. Some carry demons of doubt, resentment, and bitterness, demons that whisper lies, twist truths, and poison connections. But what if I told you that you don't have to play their game anymore? What if you could step out of this exhausting cycle of proving your worth to those determined not to see it? Let's take a journey back. Imagine a time when your heart was innocent, when you eagerly sought to explain yourself because you believed in fairness and mutual understanding. Maybe it was in school when you were accused of something you didn't do. Or at work where you tried to clarify your intentions but were met with smirks or indifference. Perhaps it was even with someone you loved, someone whose opinion mattered more than anything else. Each explanation felt like a piece of your soul handed over on a silver platter, only to be dismissed or weaponized against you. There's a familiar ache in this, isn't there? A sense of futility, of being unseen. It's like shouting into a void and hearing nothing but echoes of your own pain. This struggle is one we all face at some point, the longing to be understood, to be seen as we truly are. But what happens when the person standing across from you is wearing a mask not of understanding, but of judgment? What happens when their eyes aren't windows, but mirrors reflecting only their own insecurities back at you? The problem isn't your words or your intentions. The problem lies in the audience. You see, there are people who thrive on chaos, who are nourished by conflict. They carry unresolved pain, and instead of seeking healing, they seek targets. These people, and let's be honest, we've all encountered them, are not truly interested in you. They're interested in what they can take from you. Your energy, your peace, your sense of self-worth. Engaging with them is like trying to fill a bottomless pit. No matter how much you pour into it, it will never be enough. But here's where the real problem emerges: when you start believing that their judgment defines you. When you let their accusations, their misunderstandings, their dismissiveness creep into your heart and take root. It's subtle, isn't it? A little voice that whispers, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I need to try harder. Explain better. Be more, and so the cycle begins again. You explain. They dismiss. You explain again, louder this time, more desperately, hoping to break through. But the more you give, the more they take. And with each explanation, a piece of your soul feels chipped away. This is the trap, the belief that you owe an explanation to everyone who questions you. That somehow their approval is the key to your peace. But let's pause for a moment and ask a deeper question. Who are you really trying to convince? Is it them? Or is it yourself? Because here's a secret that might sting a little: the ones who truly see you, who truly care for you, don't need endless explanations. And the ones who demand them will never be satisfied. Their goal isn't clarity, it's control. So, what's the way out? How do you step off this exhausting treadmill of proving yourself to people who've already made up their minds? It starts with a single, powerful decision: stop. Stop trying to explain your light to those committed to their darkness. Stop handing over your power to people who don't value it. Stop confusing their loud accusations with the voice of truth. Because the truth, the real, unshakable truth, is not something you need to shout from the rooftops to make it valid. It simply is. It doesn't need approval, validation, or permission. Now, this isn't about arrogance or shutting yourself off from feedback. No, it's about discernment. It's about recognizing that not every battle is yours to fight. Not every opinion is yours to carry. And not every person is worthy of your vulnerability. Imagine yourself standing at a crossroads. On one path, you're weighed down, dragging the burden of everyone's opinions, desperately trying to explain yourself to each passerby. On the other, you're walking light and free, holding on to your truth and letting go of the need to prove it. Which path will you choose? This is not an easy journey. It requires courage to face the discomfort of being misunderstood, to let go of the need for universal approval, to trust in your own worth even when others fail to see it. But here's the reward: freedom. Freedom from the exhausting dance of justification. Freedom to focus your energy on those who matter, on those who truly see you. Freedom to stand firm in your truth, knowing that it doesn't require an audience to shine. So the next time you're tempted to explain yourself to someone who has already decided not to understand, remember this: you are not obligated to dim your light to fit into their shadow. You are not here to convince the unconvincible. You are here to live, to grow, to love, and to shine. Let them say what they will. Let them think what they will. And you keep walking head high, heart intact, and soul unshaken. Life isn't as simple as it seems. The people we encounter, the situations we face, the complexities we endure, they're not just surface-level challenges. Beneath every interaction lies a web of intentions, motivations, and conflicts, often invisible to the naked eye. And it's within this hidden realm that many of us fall victim to a particular trap, explaining ourselves to those who have no intention of understanding us. Let me take you back to a moment in your own life. Perhaps it was a heated argument with someone close to you, a friend, a family member, or a partner. You laid out your feelings, articulated your reasons, and exposed the raw vulnerability of your heart, only to be met with blank stares or even ridicule. That sinking feeling, that deep, gnawing sense of rejection is not just about being misunderstood. It's about pouring your essence into a cup that was never meant to hold it. But why do we do this? Why do we feel compelled to explain ourselves, justify our actions, or even beg for understanding from those who may never give it? The answer lies in our yearning for validation, our desperate need to belong, and the fear of isolation that haunts us all. These emotions are natural, deeply human, and rooted in our very survival. But they can also lead us into dangerous territory. C.S. Lewis, a man of profound wisdom, once remarked that our battles are often not with people but with the forces that influence them. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, as the Apostle Paul said, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world. What Lewis did was bring this truth to life, showing us that the struggles we face with others often mirror a larger spiritual battle. Consider this: when you engage in a conflict with someone whose heart is clouded by envy, pride, or malice, you're not merely addressing the person. You're confronting the deeper shadows that drive their behavior. These shadows, be they fear, insecurities, or even outright malevolence, are not swayed by logic or reason. Explaining yourself to them is like speaking to the wind, hoping it will change its direction. Let's paint a picture. Imagine standing before a mirror that distorts your image, bending your reflection into something grotesque and unrecognizable. You could scream, argue, or even break the mirror in frustration, but it wouldn't change the way it reflects you. The same applies to people whose hearts are clouded. Their perception of you isn't about who you truly are, it's about the lens through which they view the world. And yet we persist, we pour our hearts out, believing that if we just find the right words or the right tone, we'll finally be understood. But here's the hard truth: some people don't want to understand you. Not because you're wrong or unworthy, but because your truth threatens the narrative they've built to protect themselves. Your light, your clarity, it disrupts the shadows they've grown comfortable in. This isn't to say that everyone who misunderstands you is malicious. Some people are simply not equipped to meet you where you are. Their limitations, whether emotional, intellectual, or spiritual, aren't a reflection of your worth. But understanding this doesn't make it any easier to navigate the pain of being unseen. This is where structured guidance becomes essential. Think of it as a map, a way to navigate the intricate maze of human interactions without losing yourself in the process. It begins with discernment, the ability to recognize when a conversation is worth having and when it's time to step away. Discernment isn't about giving up, it's about valuing your energy and knowing that not every battle is yours to fight. Lewis often spoke of the importance of focusing on what truly matters. In his works, he emphasized the eternal over the temporal, the unseen over the visible. This perspective can serve as a compass, helping us prioritize relationships and conversations that uplift and edify rather than drain and diminish. The promise of transformation lies in this shift of focus. When you stop explaining yourself to those who are determined not to understand, you reclaim your power. You step out of the shadows of others' perceptions and into the light of your own truth. It's not an easy journey, but it's a necessary one, a journey of self-respect, courage, and profound inner peace. In the end, the people who truly matter, the ones who see you for who you are, won't need elaborate explanations. They'll recognize your heart in your actions, your essence in your presence. And as for those who refuse to see, let them wrestle with their shadows. You have better battles to fight. This is the foundation of transformation, understanding that not every conversation is yours to have, not every mind is yours to change, and not every heart is ready to receive you. It's a lesson in humility, yes, but also in strength, the strength that comes from knowing your worth and standing firm in it. So the next time you're tempted to explain yourself to someone who seems intent on misunderstanding you, pause. Ask yourself, is this a reflection of who I am, or is it about something they're carrying? And then, with grace and wisdom, choose the path that honors your truth. There's a moment of silence that follows when you stop trying to explain yourself to those who misunderstand you, a quiet void that feels both liberating and unsettling. In this space, you're left with the question, if I'm not fighting for their understanding, what am I fighting for? It's in this stillness that the deeper truths begin to emerge, truths that C.S. Lewis so masterfully articulated. Lewis often explored the idea that our struggles are not merely external, but deeply internal. The true battle isn't just against those who misunderstand us, it's against the demons within ourselves that demand their approval. These inner voices whisper, if they don't understand you, maybe you're wrong. Maybe you're not enough, and it's this conflict, the tension between our desire for validation and our need for self-worth that creates the layered struggles we all face. Let's delve deeper. Picture yourself in a storm, the winds howling and rain lashing against your skin. The storm represents the misunderstandings, judgments, and criticisms hurled your way. But within you, there's another battle, a fight to keep your footing, to hold on to your identity, and not let the storm define you. This is the layered conflict we all endure, an external storm and an internal war. Now think of the stories you've heard or read, the heroes who inspire us. Every great hero faces a moment where they're misunderstood, doubted, or even betrayed. Yet their greatness isn't defined by convincing others of their worth. It's defined by their perseverance, their ability to rise above the noise, and their unwavering commitment to their purpose. In these stories, we find a reflection of our own struggles and, more importantly, the strength to overcome them. But where does this strength come from? Lewis would argue that it comes from something eternal, something unshakable, a connection to God, to truth, to the higher purpose we're called to fulfill. When we anchor ourselves in this divine connection, the opinions of others lose their power over us. Their judgments become whispers against the roaring truth of who we are. Yet the journey to this realization is not without its mysteries. There's a tension, a suspense, a mystery box, as some would call it, that keeps us searching. Why do certain people resist understanding us? Why does our need for validation seem so relentless? And why does it hurt so deeply to be unseen? These questions are not easily answered, but they serve a purpose. They lead us closer to the truth. In this search, we often encounter red herrings, distractions that pull us away from the real issue. We might think, If only I explained myself better, they'd understand, or if only I changed this about myself, they'd accept me. These are illusions, detours that delay the real work, confronting our own need for validation and learning to let it go. And then comes the big reveal, the moment of clarity that transforms everything. You realize that their misunderstanding is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of where they are in their journey. Some people are not ready to understand you because doing so would require them to confront parts of themselves they're not ready to face. This realization is both freeing and heartbreaking. Freeing because you no longer need their approval to validate your worth. Heartbreaking because you recognize the pain and limitations in their own hearts. But in this duality lies the seed of transformation. You can choose to release them with love, to let go of the need to be seen, and instead focus on those who truly see you. Transformation doesn't happen in a single moment. It's a process, a series of choices that lead you closer to your truth. Each time you choose not to explain yourself to someone who misunderstands you, you take a step towards self-respect. Each time you walk away from a fruitless argument, you reclaim your peace. And each time you stand firm in your identity, you strengthen the foundation of who you are. This isn't about arrogance or indifference. It's about clarity, knowing who you are, whose you are, and what you stand for. It's about recognizing that your value isn't up for debate, that your worth isn't diminished by someone else's inability to see it. Lewis reminds us that our lives are part of a larger story, a narrative written by a loving creator who sees us fully and loves us completely. When we ground ourselves in this truth, we find the strength to face any storm, to rise above any misunderstanding, and to continue our journey with grace and courage. So, what does this transformation look like in action? It's the quiet confidence of knowing your worth, even when others question it. It's the strength to walk away from toxic conversations without guilt. And it's the peace that comes from trusting that those who are meant to understand you will find their way to you in time. This is the power of stepping out of the shadows of others' perceptions and into the light of your own truth. It's not about isolating yourself or closing off from others. It's about setting boundaries, valuing your energy, and investing in relationships that uplift and support you. In the end, the transformation isn't just about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. When you stop explaining yourself to those who misunderstand you, you begin to see yourself more clearly. You start to understand that your worth isn't tied to their approval, but rooted in something far deeper, far more eternal. This is the journey we're all on, moving from the need for external validation to the quiet assurance of internal peace. It's not an easy path, but it's a path worth taking, a path that leads not just to understanding, but to freedom. And as you take this journey, remember you're not alone. Countless others have walked this road before you, and countless more will follow. Together we're learning, growing, and finding the courage to live our truth unapologetically and with unwavering faith. The beauty of life lies in its resilience. You've walked through storms, faced misunderstandings, and endured the heavy burden of explaining yourself to those unwilling to listen. But now the journey turns inward. This is the moment when the weight lifts, when you step into the clarity and peace of no longer needing to justify your worth. Imagine this: you're standing on a mountaintop, the wind carrying away the echoes of all the voices that doubted you, dismissed you, and misunderstood you. Below, the chaos of those moments fades into the distance, and above you, the vast expanse of the sky opens up, a symbol of your boundless potential. This is your victory, not in convincing others, but in reclaiming yourself. There's an unshakable power in realizing that you don't need everyone to understand your journey. Some people may never grasp the battles you've fought, the scars you carry, or the dreams that fuel you, and that's okay. Their misunderstanding does not diminish your truth. It only highlights their distance from it. C.S. Lewis, in his wisdom, often pointed us to something greater than human approval. He reminded us that our lives are designed with purpose, crafted by a creator who knows our hearts even when the world does not. It's this divine connection that offers the ultimate validation, far beyond what any person could provide. And here's the transformation: when you stop explaining yourself to those unwilling to understand, you free up energy for those who do. You create space for the relationships that nurture your soul, for the conversations that inspire growth, and for the purpose that sets your heart on fire. But this transformation is not just about what you leave behind, it's about what you build moving forward. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't just survive misunderstandings but thrives beyond them. It's about shining so brightly that your light becomes a beacon for those seeking truth and connection. Now, as we come to the close of this journey, here's a call to action, a challenge to take the first step in your transformation. Stop chasing validation from those who cannot give it. Instead, stand firm in the knowledge of who you are. Let go of the need to explain, justify, or prove yourself to anyone unwilling to see you. Redirect that energy to the people who matter, the ones who uplift you, support you, and walk with you. Invest in your growth, your peace, and your calling. Because the world doesn't need a version of you shaped by others' misunderstandings. It needs the real you, unapologetically standing in your truth. So today, make the decision. Walk away from the arguments that drain you, from the people who diminish you, and from the need to defend yourself to those who will never understand. Step into the freedom, the peace, and the purpose waiting for you. You were not made to live for their approval. You were made to shine, to love, and to fulfill the purpose God has placed within you. And when you embrace that, nothing, no misunderstanding, no criticism, no rejection can hold you back. This is your moment. Take it. If this message resonated with you, don't let it stop here. Subscribe to LWN YouTube to continue this journey of uncovering timeless wisdom and finding strength in truth. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because together we can break the chains of misunderstanding and step into a life of clarity, purpose, and unshakable faith. Let's build a community that uplifts and transforms, one soul at a time.